Hello! So, I've been really excited for the TF2 summer update for a while because, for me, it's the first sort of major update I've ever experienced from TF2. I really only started playing the game in April, and I found myself having tons and tons of fun with it. And boy, did we get some! 10 new maps, a brand new community game mode, and hell, some really, well, stylish cosmetics. I was super excited. Sadly, as quickly as it came, Versus Saxton Hale was removed just as fast, and I was vastly disappointed. It appeared to crash the game very hard. However, that doesn't mean we can't actually play it. I still really wanted to give it a try, so community servers came to our rescue. I've never really played Versus Saxton Hale or its other variations of, like, Freak Fortress. I didn't initially understand what it was or what it was about, so I had to do some research. And for the uneducated and newer crowd of TF2, like myself, Versus Saxton Hale started out as a community game mode, and this all began like around 10 years ago, by the way, and it was created and heralded by this guy. You should definitely go check him out, and he has a lot more information about how the game was made and created, and I really can only briefly go over it here. It's actually super interesting. Now, the basic idea is that you have one big boss enemy character, and this is controlled by an actual player, and then every other player on the server is basically trying to kill the boss, and the boss is out to kill everyone else. Now, the boss, Saxton Hale, has a huge amount of health, crazy power moves, super jumps, and moves, like, super fast. And when a player dies in a round, they don't respawn. You just stay dead the whole round until Saxton dies or everyone else dies. It's an absolute blast to play. I had so much fun. What you have to understand is that there are some minor and key differences from the community VSH versus the 2023 intended summer update VSH. And that is that community VSH is developed and initially required plugins, and the new VSH is written with vscript, and vscript basically allows you to attach custom code to TF2 maps. And this got people excited because there is the possibility to create these community-loved game modes entirely with vscript, no plugins, so they could potentially run on Valve servers. And so, what do you know, this mad lad actually did it. And then Valve actually accepted it. And then they took it off, but we hope it will come back soon. There are some differences between community VSH versus vscript VSH. I would say that vscript version is a lot more simplified down, and you know that makes sense. Community ended up having a lot of selections of different bosses, with some of the community themselves making custom ones. vscript VSH just has Saxton Hale. There are various balancing and weapon changes in community VSH, even some restrictions, but it does seem that vscript VSH has its own gameplay changes as well. I would love to go deeper into the vscript version, but this is just meant to be general impressions and a little bit of background on VSH for those of us who don't know. Now that we have all that information out of the way, I specifically went searching for the vscript version to play to see how it was meant to be played in casual. Now, there are 4 main maps that were added to casual that ran VSH: Distillery, Nucleus, Skirmish, and Tiny Rock. And out of all these maps, Distillery was in fact my favorite. And you can probably guess why. Out of the 4, Distillery is the most open one. Let's look here. Look at all these building tops. You can just play as Sniper. You can just sit on top of these building edges and watch the chaos go down as you pick off body shots on Saxton, and you don't have to worry about constant enemy fire and spies about to backstab you. Look, you can even go where Saxton spawns out of. It's like a cool little office area. I know it's kind of gratuitous, but the Sniper gameplay was the one I ended up gravitating towards the most, as I dipped my toes into the first few rounds of Versus Saxton Hale, particularly on the Distillery map. Now, the other maps, they do all trend to having these big open spaces, none as gratuitous as Distillery, but there are lots of different routes and indoor areas as well, and even Distillery has its own indoor areas. This makes sense because it's meant to favor Saxton's huge mobility and super jump abilities. In fact, the times in which Saxton loses the fastest is when he's stuck indoors, and being completely hammered by a full team of mercs with no way to escape. The other maps are really fun, well designed, and the aesthetics are really nice. I really appreciate Nucleus being a rehash of regular Nucleus, which is one of my personally least liked Koth maps. I'm not a huge fan of King of the Hill in general, anyway, because, you know, those maps, they all are kind of small and they're a bit claustrophobic for me. Versus Saxton Hale Nucleus really opens up the map, and just like look at this huge toxic green waste whatever flowing stuff here. It's really cool, but it also hurts you. And I've fallen into it several times, and it's very bad, but it's still fun. It's still funny. I didn't end up playing every class. I only played the few classes that I usually end up playing a lot anyway, which is really just medic, sniper, and engineer. I already talked about how I really enjoyed playing sniper, but like, damn, is medic gameplay just kind of terrifying? So, as medic, you're basically one of the most important members of the team, as usual. But remember, people can't respawn in this mode, so your job to keep people alive is even more paramount here. Now, people aren't really constantly taking as much damage as you think, but it's still these big bursts and sudden, like, jump scare knockbacks that you get thrown across the map that, like, totally disorient you, separate you from your team, and you just get like, how the hell did I survive that? If you get separated, and like a confident Saxton sees you running, you're probably dead. And I was terrified for my life. But again, it's so much fun. And notice how I mentioned if you have like a competent Saxton, because a competent Saxton will know to prioritize medics first. But there was something said by the original developer that, you know, people enjoy the game more anyway when Saxton loses most of the time. This makes sense because, well, in our minds, Saxton is the obstacle that we, as the players, must overcome. So it feels a lot better to the majority if we win. You generally play as one of the mercs way more than you do as Saxton, so winning is going to feel a lot better to you. I played as Saxton a few times, and let me tell you, it's pretty jarring the first time, especially without any introduction. And I kind of figured it out as I played him, but I had to have a little help from people in voice chat, kind of just telling me what the keys were. The problem was that they were telling me the default keybinds, and I'm someone who's actually changed a lot of my default keybinds. So for everyone who would like to know, Saxton's abilities are not keybinded, they are binded to specific functions. So people were telling me that Saxton's charge punch was binded to R, and his ground pound move was control. And probably most of you know, R is usually reload and control is duck. Well, R worked for me because I hadn't changed that, but control for me is not duck. So I kept hitting control and like nothing was happening, and I was like, why isn't this working? Eventually I figured it out, but it was really confusing the first time. And after I ended up playing Saxton once or twice more, knowing kind of what my correct keys were for me, I had a little bit of a better time, but I probably wasn't a very good Saxton. I would like to get better. It's really fun when you fight against a really good Saxton who kind of like knows what they're doing. The fights get like so really close, and you know, sometimes they'll survive all the way to the end. Even with those few hours of games I did play, you can kind of eventually pick up on like who really knows how to play Saxton and like who doesn't. Good Saxtons seem to somehow know where everyone is and like who they want to target and like aim their major attacks to like hit everyone all the time. But then a not as experienced Saxton will just flail around wildly and like jump and just like land wherever, and it's kind of scary in its own right because you never really know what they're gonna do. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but what I did notice is that when you play as Saxton, you really don't want to get stuck in like a small enclosed area, because Saxton's biggest boons are his mobility and aerial movement, so it's easy to get out of like trafficked areas and go where you want if you like just, you know, jump away. But if you get stuck somewhere inside and everyone is pinning you down, knocking you back, air blasting, whatever, then you kind of just get stuck and you can't do much. This happened a few times with some Saxtons, me included, so it ends up everyone just kind of like bullying Saxton, but that's still kind of funny. But for the Saxtons that do make it all the way to the end, I really didn't keep track of this, but it did generally feel like the mercs would win more than they lost, but you know, whatever. Instead of 1v1ing whoever was the last person, more often than not, the last person would pull out the rock, paper, scissors taunt. I'm not sure if this was wholly intended from the developer, but every other rock, paper, scissors taunt for enemy teams, if you lose, then you die. Saxton, who is technically on the blue team and everyone is on the red, Saxton will insta-die if he loses at rock, paper, scissors. So for many games, it's the last person. They see Saxton coming for him. They pull out the rock, paper, scissors taunt, and then Saxton does the taunt too, and everyone waits to see what happens. Bam! The winner is decided completely at random. Imagine, we just fought this whole war for like the last few minutes. All of your comrades have died. Now the final winner is decided with a game of random chance. It's pretty funny. It's pretty TF2. I don't know if this was something that happened a lot in the community versus Saxton Hale games, but it's pretty funny in this version, so I hope it's a mainstay in many games moving forward. Now, of course, not every Saxton always took the taunt. Some indeed just blasted the final guy with no honor, I might add. Those are all my main thoughts about Versus Saxton Hale game mode. There's just my general first impressions and my experience of what I thought of it. At least, you know, the vscript version that was intended for the summer 2023 update, and hopefully it will return soon to casual. I don't know if I see this as being a permanent game mode, but at least we have community servers that are willing to run it all the time anyway. I would love to play it more and go more in depth, but you know, just kind of see how the different classes play out, and maybe, I don't know, I might do that for future videos, but we'll see. I just hope that Valve fixes what the problems are for the current, you know, official servers and whatever's going on there. For me, this was just a wholly different and fun experience I know I'm going to be playing a lot more of. I really enjoyed it. It's not really something I expected out of TF2, but really with this game and this community, you kind of just have to expect the unexpected. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I don't really have an outro or anything, so bye.